Third pays.
Imagine if your brand's personality could talk to search engines directly. In this episode, we explore the wild connection between branding and SEO, showing you how to make your brand's voice heard in the digital chaos, the digital jungle. Get ready to transform your SEO game by simply being you on this episode of Content on the Go. Hey everyone, I'm Darren Lake and welcome to Content on the Go, a podcast by Podpaste. Each episode, we answer questions or talk about one specific idea to help you market your business or brand better. And we do that by making them easy to digest, short and concise, because we all have a business to run. Let's go. What you will learn on this episode with our guest, Christopher Koo, how to use your brand's identity to naturally boost your SEO, the pitfalls of relying solely on SEO agencies, and how to take control of your keywords, strategies to guide your SEO agency with a clear vision of your brand's future. With over 20 years of bilingual content and communications experience, Chris excels in creating and managing impactful content across various platforms. At the time of this publication, Chris is the global content marketing lead at Byte Plus, who is known for apps like TikTok, Pico, CapCut, and Lemon 8. All right, let's just jump right into it, Mr. Chris.
All right.
And get on point number one, which is keywords. Tell me more about keywords and how that naturally can help the branding and your SEO.
I mean, keywords are so important. You keep hearing that all the time, right? But do you actually want to pay an agency for what you are already doing? And do you really want to pay an agency and get a bunch of words only? So, I mean, you can spend a fortune, and I have experienced that in one of the companies that I worked with, and maybe you don't have that big of a war chest, but you'll still be paying the agency 20% of the management fee. And, not that the agency is the visionary of your business, although I have a problem with the word visionary, especially when CEOs call themselves visionaries. I mean, but, you own that vision, right? You own that brand purpose. And the SEO or the SEM agency, they don't own that. I mean, they get your brief, and that's about it, right? And this how detailed your brief can be, and you can send them your whole brand playbook, but they're not the one who will feel this thing, right? They are just receiving the brief. And so they come back and say, oh, okay, tell me a bunch of keywords that you would like to target, and, this is what my customers buy, this is what they are, that is where they are, and I want to have more of a type of this customer from here and there. And then it really is, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, right? And they come back with a bunch of keywords and, they do their due diligence, but, it does hit the jackpot at some times and sometimes it just won't because they are not feeling the brand. They don't own that vision and they are not able to tie stories together with the keywords. So that's what I'm trying to say.
All right, and the next point, it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. So that's always the fun part. What is that saying in, I think it's advertising. It's, advertising works 50% of the time. You just don't know what 50% it is. And the same can go for marketing. So yeah, let me know about this. Like sometimes it works and it sometimes doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you pay the management fee, right? And covering that grand scheme of things and the entire suite of keywords and, just finding out what is relevant, trending, and, boom, maybe you get a kind of short ramp, like for a quarter or maybe a few months and you get that sort of awareness and some sales. But how does it work in the long run? Most times, I think it does not work that way. So unless you are really working on your brand purpose and the stories, and that sort of paying the agency to come up with a bunch of keywords to tie with some sort of brand activation or campaign would only give you a very short ramp up, and it doesn't really build out in the long term.
And the third point is you get to own your brand when you use SEO, when you naturally use branding to help your SEO. So can you tell me a bit more on that?
Yeah, it's kind of like playing your own music. Like you own it, right? You write your own music, you write your own songs, and businesses.
No covers.
All the businesses should be very cognizant of its brand personality and appeal. Like the brand, what the brand stands for, how you want to position it, and the other categories that you want to play in. And this is the part where marketers have to own and be able to articulate and to tell the stories. I think, we are marketers and, we are supposed to be expert communicators and we must be able to own that. And if you cannot own your story, it's just so difficult. I mean, just moving into a new place and, bump into your neighbor and they will ask you, hey, what are you doing here? I mean, if you cannot even tell your own story, who's going to tell that story for you, right? Because you get to own that story. You are who you are. And as we said in the previous episode, when people look at the messaging, they're not just looking at a message, they are getting a glimpse of who you are in multi dimensions as you activate different kinds of campaigns throughout the year, telling the story of your life, of your brand's history, and etc. Yeah.
This is interesting because I'm starting to see that, when you're starting off with your marketing journey as a small business or even, medium business, and you almost can't leverage it. You can't delegate off this type of task. And it's true for a lot of things, it's like if you want to scale, you actually have to do things that don't scale really well first. So if you want to 10x something, you got to 1x something perfectly and you have to manually do it yourself. And, and I'm not saying, yourself, but most small businesses that we're talking to are, 1 to 5 employees. So you're going to really have to own it. And then just going, hey, agency, do this thing. I've seen so many people just get really average results or really flat results by going, hey, blow up my Instagram account or do this thing. And it's like, all they'll do is just really generic stuff. So it really sounds like this is you figuring everything out. And then once you do that, you can then get to our fourth point, which is now you can tell the agency what you want because you've kind of done that research and development.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that true?
Yes, it is totally true. And I think a lot of the businesses might be struggling, and this is no offense to the age group of business owners, and because a lot of the older folks or, people from the previous generation, they have this struggle of telling their own story because they're not used to it, right? But the Gen Zers and people today, we have access to so many different social media platforms, and it has allowed a lot of people to just tell their own stories, to say who they are as a person. And it is becoming so accessible, and that you get this natural training just even by watching other people telling about themselves. And it's also affecting newsmakers, right? Like people are not reading newspapers anymore. They are not the go-to platforms for breaking stories. And it is people on the ground who are breaking stories and at the same time telling people who they are as a newsbreaker. Like, I'm not just breaking this news to you because it's worthy, but I'm telling this to you because I'm endorsing it and I want you to know this is what I believe in. And there is a lot of training just watching all these different videos and different content, churned out by people from all kinds of, from all walks of life and on different media, social media platforms.
All right. Well, we've covered a bit on this, and we've gone from keywords, you don't need to pay an agency, to it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. You get to own your brand, and all the way to now, once you figure all that out, you can tell the agency what you want. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that's about it.
From Podpaste, you've listened to Content on the Go. Again, I'm Darren, and Podpaste hopes you found more insights and tips into your business or brand. If you've liked what you heard, please share a link with other businesses or marketers if you think they would get something from this. And for a limited time, we are offering 2 special services for people. The first is aimed at businesses that have never done podcasting and want to try it out before committing to a full series. Think Try Before You Buy, where we will edit and repurpose a podcast episode into 10 pieces of content for you for only $95. That's 82% off our normal rate. But if you already have a podcast going, we'd love to edit an episode for free for you or repurpose it into 10 pieces of content to show you what is possible. Either way, sign up at the link in the show notes or YouTube description below to jump on a quick 10-minute discovery call where we can brainstorm ideas or audit your existing podcast and help shape your next series. See you on the next episode.